Stop. Can you hear the terrifying scream echoing from behind the gilded doors of Buckingham Palace? It was not an attack from the outside, but an expedition from within. King Charles III, in a state of extreme rage, pointed his finger directly at Queen Camilla and shouted, "You have gone too far." The secret of the missing pinky ring, worth millions of dollars, is exposing a brutal truth. The British throne is fracturing from the king's very own bed. In the lavish corridors of the palace, where every secret is hidden under a layer of magnificent gold leaf, a real storm is arriving. The pinky ring, worn for 50 years, a symbol of authority and the forbidden love between Charles and Camilla, has disappeared mysteriously. Not a single trace, and no camera captured it clearly. And the number one suspect is the woman standing beside the throne, Queen Camilla Parker Bowles. This misguided relationship, lasting half a century, once shocked the entire world. From a despised mistress who destroyed the marriage with Princess Diana, Camilla has climbed the ladder of power spectacularly. But behind the polite smile for the cameras, is she secretly consolidating her position? The ring is not just jewelry. It represents royal heritage and may be an important heirloom with immense symbolic value. Its disappearance right now, as Charles weakens due to age and health, leads many to suspect this is a clever move to assert power. Or worse, a sinister revenge plan for the years of being despised by society. According to palace insiders, the atmosphere within the royal family is as tense as a guitar string. Courtiers whisper that Camilla may be preparing for a smoother transition, or simply that she can no longer endure the pressure from the ghosts of the past. The British royal family has never lacked behind-the-scenes conspiracies. From the Diana case to recent scandals, anything is possible. In your opinion, is Camilla doing this to assert power, or is this a sinister revenge plan? If you believe she is innocent, please comment number 1. If you believe this is a silent plot to seize the throne, comment number 2 right below. From the moment King Charles III officially took the throne, Queen Camilla has undergone a psychological change so profound that many in Buckingham Palace call it the awakening of the ghost of the past. She is no longer the woman once hated by all of Britain for her role as a mistress in the broken marriage of Charles and Diana. Now, under the sparkling chandeliers of the throne, Camilla has become a decisive, cold woman who does not hesitate to use every power her new status brings. Those who have followed her journey for a long time realize that the patience and silent endurance of 50 years have turned into a desire for absolute control. She no longer wants to be just Queen Consort, a modest title according to the last wishes of the late Queen Elizabeth II. She wants to be queen, an equal to the king, and the one who holds the destiny of the entire dynasty. This change did not happen overnight. It is the result of long years of being condemned by British society, hunted by the press, and disrespected by the royal family itself. Now, sitting at the pinnacle of power, Camilla seems to be making up for it all by tightening her grip on everything. The most shocking figure that British and American royal media constantly mention is that in just 180 days after the coronation, Camilla's title changed dramatically. From Queen Consort, she was quickly called Queen Camilla in all official documents, ceremonies, and even on the bronze plaques at the palace. This was not a random decision. It was a deliberate move, directly challenging the final wishes of Queen Elizabeth II, who had clearly expressed that she did not want Camilla to be granted the full title of queen. However, Camilla did it. She surpassed the wishes of the deceased, and that has caused many courtiers loyal to the old royalty to shake their heads in disappointment. According to internal sources we have accessed, Camilla herself was the strongest driver for this change. Taking advantage of the time Charles was busy with coronation rituals, to secretly rearrange the palace media machine. She summoned her own media advisors, demanding they update every document, every press release, and even edit official portraits so that the words Queen Camilla appear more prominent than ever. This was a quiet but calculated move that kept British and American public opinion buzzing for many weeks. But her abuse of power did not stop at titles. Underlying cracks began to show through the way she arbitrarily interfered deeply in the king's daily schedule. According to internal documents revealed by anonymous courtiers to the American press, in less than 1 year, Camilla cancelled 30% of King Charles III's appointments and tours. The official reason given was always that the king's health is declining. She constantly emphasized that Charles needs to rest and avoid outside pressure. Yet behind that mask is a much colder purpose. She is isolating him from his closest advisors, those who were loyal to Queen Elizabeth II and still hold traditional views on the role of the monarchy: old generals, long-time financial advisors, and even some high-ranking royals are being pushed to the sidelines. Camilla replaced them with her own close associates, people ready to follow every command without question. We can clearly see this is not the action of a wife worried about her husband's health. This is a strategy for power control, a way for her to ensure that the only voice in the king's ear is her own. Internal sources also revealed that she cancelled private meetings between Charles and his son William, with the excuse of avoiding pressure on the father. In reality, she is preventing any influence from the next generation that could threaten her position. The climax of all these fractures was the secret interview Camilla conducted with a major American television station. In a private room at an undisclosed location, she sat before the camera and calmly revealed details about the true health condition of King Charles III. Information considered a national secret. She described in detail the pain the king endures, private medical treatments, and even hinted that his health is declining faster than the palace publicly admits. This interview not only shocked British and American public opinion, but also directly shook the London stock market. Right after the footage was aired, shares of linked royal corporations dropped sharply, and investors panicked over the stability of the dynasty. Many British financial experts called this a punch from within, an act so reckless it could be considered betrayal. Why did Camilla choose an American television station instead of British channels? Why did she choose this sensitive time to expose family secrets? These questions are keeping the media and the public in Britain and America talking constantly. British tabloids like The Sun and Daily Mail posted headlines like "Queen Camilla sells out her husband," while American channels like CNN and Fox News praised it as the ultimate royal drama twist. Let us pause for a moment to see more clearly. Camilla's psychological change is not accidental. She was once the woman harshly condemned by British society for destroying the image of Princess Diana. She had to live in the shadows, enduring bitter criticism for decades. Now, sitting on the throne, she seems to be taking revenge for all those years by gripping power tightly and not allowing anyone, including her own husband, to stand in her way. This is a classic story of the British royalty. Power transforms people, and absolute power transforms people into those who no longer recognize boundaries. From a quiet mistress, Camilla has become an ambitious queen, ready to use any means to protect her position. Sources from the palace say the atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace right now is as tense as a wire. Private arguments are becoming more frequent. Longtime servants whisper to each other that the king is beginning to feel the isolation his own wife has created. There are even rumors that Charles once cried alone in his private room after discovering a series of cancelled schedules without his knowledge. British royal drama has never lacked these layers. From the Diana case to recent scandals with Harry and Meghan, everything proves that the throne is never peaceful. Furthermore, Camilla's abuse of power extends to how she treats other members of the royal family. She is said to have interfered in decisions regarding palace etiquette, changing the way royal dinner parties are organized to prioritize her close friends from the British elite. This makes many traditional aristocrats feel insulted, and they have begun to whisper about a Camilla dynasty in America, where the public is always fascinated by royal drama, like the series The Crown. This story is received even more warmly. Podcasts and YouTube channels, specializing in British and American royal analysis, constantly invite experts to dissect whether Camilla is repeating the mistakes of past queens or if she is rewriting history in her own way. All these details make audiences like us unable to look away. Because this is not just news. This is a reality television show happening right before our eyes. But all that abuse of power is just the tip of the iceberg. The real detonator only exploded when the king's most precious item suddenly vanished from the jewelry box. That fateful morning began with a terrifying silence that engulfed all of Buckingham Palace. Just a few hours after Queen Camilla's secret interview with an American television station was broadcast, the atmosphere in the palace seemed to freeze. Longtime courtiers moved like ghosts, their footsteps so light that not a single sound echoed on the polished marble floors. No one dared to speak loudly, and no one dared to look each other in the eye. News of Camilla's shocking revelations, from the true health condition of King Charles III to her hints about his rapid decline, had spread like wildfire among insiders. Courtiers whispered behind backs that these were no longer the words of a worried wife, but a sophisticated political strike aimed at consolidating her own power. That silence was even more frightening because everyone knew a storm was coming. Yet no one dared to predict where or when it would break out. Then it exploded, right inside the king's private bedroom, a place that had witnessed so many royal secrets hidden under silk scarves and crystal chandeliers. King Charles III entered with his face flushed red with anger, his whole body trembling as if trying to restrain an internal earthquake. He was no longer the calm monarch that the British and American public usually saw on television screens. He was a man betrayed, isolated, and now standing on the brink of losing total control. His eyes were bloodshot, his breath was hurried, and his hands were clenched so tight that his knuckles turned white. Facing him was Queen Camilla, sitting upright in a classic armchair, her face cold and void of any emotion. Her usual polite smile had vanished. In its place was a calm, almost defiant gaze, as if she had been prepared for this moment for a long time. She did not stand up, did not say a word of apology, but only slightly raised her head to look at her husband with a fake patience that many in the palace used to whisper was the secret weapon of Queen Camilla. Charles did not wait another second. He rushed straight to the large walnut jewelry table, where the heirloom ring box had sat for generations. His hands trembled as he ransacked every drawer and every luxury leather box. The sound of clashing metal and rustling paper rose in chaos. Then he grew even angrier when he could not find what he needed. An ancient Chinese porcelain vase, a precious item that once belonged to Queen Victoria, was swept violently to the floor by his hand. The sound of it shattering into pieces echoed throughout the room. Porcelain shards, flying everywhere, like the broken glass of a cracking dynasty. Camilla remained still, not moving an inch, only slightly raising an eyebrow as if watching a play she had already memorized. Charles turned sharply, his voice roaring, tearing through the previous quiet space. "Did you take it? Do not test my final patience." That scream was not just an accusation, but the explosion of all the years of being isolated, manipulated, and pushed into the dark by the very woman beside him. That scene made the courtiers standing in the hallway hold their breath. Through the slightly ajar door, They saw the king continue to ransack the room like a wounded animal. He overturned the large bed, violently pulled the goose feather pillows, and threw them to the floor in a frenzy. Papers, private letters, and even old family photos were tossed into the air. Every movement of his radiated extreme indignation mixed with deep pain. The pinky ring, an item attached to him for 50 years, a symbol of forbidden love and royal power, was not just a piece of jewelry. It was a relic, a commitment. The only thing left proving that the relationship between Charles and Camilla had once overcome so many scandals to survive. Its disappearance was the final straw after the American interview. Charles screamed again, his voice breaking. "Do you think you can control everything? From my schedule, from my health, and now even my legacy. You have gone too far." Camilla. His face was beet red. Sweat beaded on his forehead, and his shoulders shook as he tried to suppress angry tears. Camilla kept that same expressionless face, but her eyes flickered with something, perhaps satisfaction, or perhaps cold calculation. She slowly stood up, her voice as calm as if discussing the weather. "Charles, are you making a mess of everything just because of a ring? I did not take it, but if you want to blame me, go ahead." Those words further ignited the king's fury. He stepped closer, his finger pointing straight at her face, trembling incessantly. The courtiers outside began to truly worry. Some had secretly called Prince William, but the message was not answered immediately. Buckingham Palace at this moment was like a time bomb. The British royal drama that our British and American audiences love. From the quarrels of Henry VIII with his wives to the Diana scandal, was now taking place right in the 21st century, more vivid and brutal than ever. Let us analyze a little to see the big picture. This confrontation was not accidental. It was the climax of all the underlying cracks we saw in the previous part. From Camilla, arbitrarily changing her title, canceling 30% of the king's schedule, to the American interview exposing health secrets. Charles was gradually isolated, and now he realized that the woman who was once his support was the one gnawing at the throne from the inside. Many internal sources revealed that after the interview, Charles called several old advisors. But Camilla blocked them all. She controlled even the private communication lines. The disappearance of the ring was just the final fuse that made him explode. For fans of royal drama like us, this is a golden moment. A British king, who waited half a century to take the throne, now facing the risk of losing everything in his own palace. Did Camilla really take the ring to assert power? Or is this part of a larger plan to prepare for a future when Charles is no longer in power? These questions are causing a stir in both Britain and America on social media. With millions of comments comparing her to ambitious queens in history, the room was now in total chaos. Broken porcelain pieces lay scattered. Papers flew everywhere, and the air was suffocating with the smell of expensive perfume mixed with the scent of anger. Charles stood there, panting, his eyes red, not because of old age, but because of the pain of being betrayed from the very bed he once shared with Camilla. She stood still. Not a single tear. Not a single sincere excuse. That coldness made the drama even more theatrical. British tabloids like the Mirror and the Daily Mail will surely report heavily tomorrow morning, while American channels like TMZ and People magazine will analyze every frame if there is leaked video. This was not just a husband and wife quarrel. This was a power struggle shaking the foundations of the British monarchy. In the fury still surging after the terrifying confrontation in the royal bedroom, King Charles III suddenly stopped amidst the wreckage of broken porcelain and scattered papers. His eyes were no longer just red with anger, but now flickered with a deep, almost broken pain. The pinky ring, the most precious item he had just discovered, was missing. was not merely a piece of jewelry. It was a stolen symbol of power. The final link between the British throne and the soul of a faltering dynasty. According to internal palace sources we accessed from anonymous courtiers, this ring had been in the king's hands for the past 50 years, and its evaporation was a fatal blow to his heart, making all previous underlying cracks impossible to heal. Let us go deep into the technical specifications of this treasure to understand why it is so important. The pinky ring was crafted from rare Welsh gold mined from ancient mines in Wales, that was once a symbol of British royal strength and purity. It weighed exactly 20 grams, not a single milligram extra, with a design so sophisticated that every detail carried a deep historical mark. On the face of the ring, the seal of the Prince of Wales was clearly engraved. 3 pure white ostrich feathers stacked on top of each other, surrounded by ancient Latin words symbolizing loyalty and immortal power. Welsh gold is not ordinary gold. It was refined according to a secret formula from the Tudor era, carrying a natural luster and superior tarnish resistance, making the ring always sparkle under the crystal chandeliers of Buckingham like a living gem. Royal jewelers once confirmed that this was one of the few remaining handcrafted items that could not be perfectly copied even with the most modern technology. But the value of the ring did not stop at the material. This was a family heirloom passed through 3 generations of kings, carrying both the curse and the glory of the Windsor family. According to internal historical documents revealed by several British and American royal historians in private interviews, the ring was passed down by Prince Philip, the father of Charles, from the late King George VI, who received it from his own father, George V. Each generation of kings wore it as a spiritual seal, representing not only political power, but also a reminder of the dark secrets and glorious victories of the dynasty. The curse associated with it was whispered in the court for decades. Whoever loses the ring will lose the protection of the ancestors and cause the throne to crack from within. Its disappearance right now, when Charles is weakening due to age and health, leads many to believe this was not accidental. This is a sign of a collapsing dynasty. Like the prophecies in the series The Crown that our British and American audiences are obsessed with, British royal drama has never lacked such symbols, from Diana's black dress to Camilla's love letters. But this ring is more special because it touches the soul of the king directly. Analyzing more deeply, we must ask why Charles never took the ring off for 5 decades, even when sleeping, even during the longest lonely nights after the death of Princess Diana. That was not just a habit. It was the only remaining link between him and his father, Prince Philip, the Iron Man who taught him how to endure royal pressure. Philip once wore this very ring during his time as the Prince of Wales, and before passing away, he whispered to Charles in the hospital, "Son, keep it as you keep my soul, Charles." The son, once harshly criticized by his father for his relationship with Camilla, regarded the ring as a late apology, a commitment that Windsor blood still flows strongly despite the overwhelming scandals. He wore it even while bathing, even during minor surgeries, even when Camilla once suggested replacing it with a more modern ring. Palace sources revealed that every night, before falling asleep, Charles still caressed the ring and whispered to it as if talking to his father. That was how he kept his spirits up amidst so much pressure. From the divorce with Diana, from the criticism of the British public, and from the pressure of Queen Elizabeth II before she passed away, the ring was a spiritual support, a symbol that he was not alone on the throne. Even though Camilla was trying to isolate him day by day, for fans of royal drama like us in Britain and America, the story of this ring is like a new chapter of The Crown, but even more dramatic. Imagine a modern king who waited half a century to take the throne. now losing the item most attached to his father, just as his wife. The woman, once condemned by society, is escalating her power. Many American royal experts on podcasts like Royalty and Keeping Up with the Royals all state that losing the ring is not just losing an object. It means Charles loses the spiritual seal of a king. The British throne is based on tradition and symbolism. Without the ring, the king seems to lose the protection from ancestors, making every future decision fragile. British tabloids like The Sun and Daily Mail will surely exploit this thoroughly, with headlines like "The Stolen Ring." Has the Windsor curse fallen upon Charles? Meanwhile, in America, CNN and People magazine will analyze deeply. Is this Camilla's move to assert that she is the one holding the future of the dynasty? She changed her title, cancelled the schedule, and exposed her husband's health on American television. Now, the ring is gone. Is it the final step to completely eliminate the legacy of Philip and Elizabeth? We cannot ignore the emotional layers here. Charles, after ransacking the room and screaming at Camilla, slumped into a chair, his head in his hands, trembling incessantly. He did not cry in front of anyone, but the courtiers standing in the hallway clearly heard him whisper, "Father, I have lost everything." That pain was not just personal. It spread to the entire royal family. Prince William is said to have received urgent news from the palace, and according to internal sources, he shook his head in disappointment, saying father is letting Camilla control everything, and now even grandfather's relic is lost. This drama is clearly dividing the British and American public. One side supports Camilla because she has endured long enough, while the other side condemns her as a destroyer of the throne from within. On social media, the hashtag #MissingPinkyRing is trending in both countries, with millions of comments comparing the incident to the scandal of Henry VIII or ambitious queens in British history. Furthermore, the historical value of the ring also lies in stories never made public. It was worn in the most important ceremonies, the secret wedding of Charles and Camilla in 2005, summit meetings with world leaders, and even at the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Each time Charles touched it, he remembered the final advice of Philip. Power is not for sharing. Son, it must belong to you alone. Now, with the ring missing, Charles seems to lose even the faith in himself. Royal psychological experts we contacted anonymously say he is falling into a state of mild depression, not just because of the lost item, but because of the loss of the symbol of his entire life. Camilla, with her cold face during the confrontation, is perhaps enjoying this moment. She knows exactly what the ring means to her husband, and its disappearance right after the American interview makes suspicion point directly at her. All these details make us unable to look away. This is not just about losing an item. It is about losing the soul of the dynasty. From the rare Welsh gold to the curse through 3 generations. From the link with Prince Philip to the current pain of Charles, the ring has become the center of the storm. Buckingham Palace at this moment is like a Roman Colosseum, where every eye is on the 2 main characters, the king who is falling apart and the queen who is coldly observing. A treasure that cannot be valued with money has now become the trump card in a ruthless game of power. And the final truth was finally revealed in a way no one expected. Right in the heart of Buckingham Palace, where every royal secret is hidden behind magnificent layers of gold leaf. After 48 hours of frantic searching, the entire palace was submerged in an unprecedented atmosphere of chaos. King Charles III had ordered dozens of courtiers, bodyguards, and royal security teams to turn over every corner. They searched every cabinet, every jewelry box, every dark hallway, and even the ancient storage vaults deep underground. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed throughout the night, and the worried whispers of servants spread everywhere. Everyone felt clearly that this was no longer an ordinary loss. This was the decisive moment for the fate of an entire dynasty. Then, that climactic moment finally arrived. In the late afternoon of the third day, as the withered yellow sunlight filtered through the giant stained glass windows of the reception room, Camilla appeared as nonchalant as if nothing had ever happened. She entered the room looking perfect, her hair tied in a neat high bun, her familiar tweed dress hugging her figure, and her usual polite smile still lingering on her lips. Not a sign of fatigue, not a hint of worry. She moved slowly, as if strolling through the Windsor flower garden rather than walking into the center of a storm. Charles by this time was exhausted after 2 sleepless nights, his eyes sunken deep, his face haggard from accumulated rage and pain. He sat upright in the royal armchair, his hands gripping the armrest so tightly that his knuckles were white. The courtiers standing on both sides trembled, not daring to breathe heavily. The air in the room was so heavy it could be cut with a knife. Camilla stopped right in front of her husband, her eyes staring straight into Charles's eyes without blinking. Not a word of greeting, not a gesture of apology. She only slightly tilted her head, her voice calm but as sharp as a knife, saying, "Whatever belongs to the king also belongs to me. I am only keeping what is mine." Those words rang out like thunder in the quiet palace, leaving everyone present stunned. That was no ordinary confession. It was a declaration of power, an assertion that Camilla no longer considered herself a dependent wife. She was Queen Camilla, the one who held everything within this dynasty. Internal sources we accessed from an anonymous courtier revealed that she had prepared this line for a long time, perhaps from the moment the ring disappeared. It was not just an explanation, it was a sophisticated political strike, reminding Charles that after 50 years of misguided love, she was the one truly in control of everything. From his schedule, to his health, even to the most precious family heirloom. But it was the final finishing act that made everything escalate beyond repair. Camilla nonchalantly reached into the expensive leather handbag she always carried and pulled out the rare Welsh gold pinky ring. With a deliberate, slow gesture, she placed it down on the marble table in front of Charles. A dry click sounded clearly in the silence, like the sound of a hammer nailing a coffin of a relationship. The ring lay there, sparkling under the chandeliers, the Prince of Wales' seal still as sharp as ever. But that moment brought no relief to the king. On the contrary, Charles's reaction was one of utter disgust, his face distorted, his eyes widened in horror and dread, as if he had just seen a poisonous snake instead of his father's relic. He did not reach out to take the ring. He just sat there, his whole body trembling, his mouth mumbling wordless sounds. That disgust was not just because the ring was secretly kept. It was because he realized that the woman he had loved and protected for half a century had turned into his most dangerous enemy. From a mistress condemned by British society for destroying the marriage with Diana, Camilla had now become a queen, ready to use every trick to assert power, even if it meant stealing her own husband's spiritual symbol. Let us analyze deeper to see the whole picture. This truth, revealed in an unexpected way, was the climax of all the underlying cracks we witnessed before. Camilla did not deny taking the ring. She openly declared it belonged to her, as a way to assert that everything inside Buckingham Palace, from the throne to the heirlooms, was under the control of Queen Camilla. Many royal experts in London and New York all stated that this was a sophisticated betrayal. She no longer needed to hide. After changing her title beyond the wishes of Queen Elizabeth II, after canceling 30% of Charles's schedule, and after the American interview exposing her husband's health, She now openly kept the ring, the symbol of power and the Windsor soul. Charles's reaction made the story even more tragic. He did not cheer for finding the relic. He did not hug Camilla and cry with relief. Instead, he stood up abruptly, his voice breaking in a final surge of fury, saying, "You are done." Those words, spoken in clear and cold English, marked the complete end of the blind trust Charles once had for this woman. 50 years of forbidden love. 50 years of enduring scandals and criticism from the British public, all shattered in a single click of the ring placed on the table. Courtiers standing in the hallway heard every word, and the news quickly spread outside the palace. Prince William was said to have received an emergency call immediately after. This drama made the royal atmosphere even more tense. One side remained loyal to Camilla because she had endured long enough, while the other side condemned her as a destroyer of the Windsor legacy. Furthermore, according to internal sources, Camilla did not just keep the ring for the past 2 days. She had carried it with her to every appointment, even trying it on in her private room to feel its power. That was her way of asserting her status. That it was not Charles who held the spiritual seal, but her. The reception room was now submerged in a deathly silence after Charles's words. "You are done." Camilla still stood there, her expression unchanged, but her eyes flickered with a cold spark of victory. The ring lay still on the stone table, sparkling like a silent witness to the collapse of a relationship. King Charles III, the man who waited half a century to take the throne, finally had to face the brutal truth. The throne no longer belonged to him. It belonged to the woman he once loved, passionately. And with that final statement, the blind trust finally shattered completely, opening a new, darker chapter for the entire dynasty. And with that final statement, the blind trust finally shattered completely, opening a new, darker chapter for the entire dynasty. The British royal family is in its most fragile period in modern history. An internal enemy is sitting right next to the throne. Camilla, the woman who escalated her power at all costs. Beside that are the external enemies, Meghan and Harry, figures who are silently watching from California, ready to take advantage of every gap to further shake the cracked foundation. Buckingham Palace at this moment is like an ancient castle facing a perfect storm, where all old alliances become fragile. The ring may be found, but the crack in the monarch's heart will never heal. This 50-year marriage is now just a cold political contract, where love has given way to ambition and control. King Charles III is no longer the man who waited half a century to take the throne. He is a lonely king, pushed into the shadows by the very woman beside him. Camilla won this game of power, but the price to pay was the irreparable break between the two. The current silence of Buckingham Palace is the preparation for the next earthquake. What do you think about this extreme assertion of power by Camilla? Please leave your opinion right below, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next chapter of this story.